In every forest, in every ocean, a voice is calling. This is Voices for the Wild. Every creature has a voice.
A heartbeat moves through the forest, pause, breath, and eyes that read distance. This is the wolf, built for miles and wired for family. Tonight we step into its life, how a pack becomes a power, how endurance turns ground into opportunity, and how cooperation pays the bills of winter. From tundra to desert rims, from boreal forests to mountain spines, wolves adapt as much by culture as by coat. The blueprint repeats: a body made for distance, a nose that maps the wind, and a mind that defaults to teamwork. Where prey moves, wolves move. Where seasons change, wolves change with them. The animal you see is part muscle and part memory, carrying roots, lessons, and voices learned from older feet. Look at the machinery of endurance. Long limbs and elastic tendons turn strides into miles without wasting energy. A deep chest fuels steady work. Paws spread on snow, grip on rock, and quiet on leaf litter. Inside the skull, a labyrinth of nasal turbinates rings meaning from air. Who passed? How long ago? In which direction? Ears pivot to triangulate small sounds. A tail signals state and intention. Confidence, caution, invitation, ease. Everything about the wolf says motion with purpose. But the engine is only half the story. The other half is the pack. A pack is a family, a breeding pair, this year's pups, last year's yearlings, and sometimes older offspring that never forgot where they came from. Hierarchy exists but flexes. Respect follows competence, not cruelty. Adults correct without maiming, teach by example, and share by rule. Play is practice, stalking games, chase and stops, tug of war with bones and sticks. The skills that look like fun become the choreography of a hunt. Communication keeps a mobile family stitched together. A howl is a map and a roll call in one breath. Who is home? Who is near? And who should keep away? Scent marks leave time-stamped messages that say this border is tended and this path is ours for now. Body language speaks nuance faster than any sound. Ears lowered to soften, raised to alert. A sideways glance to yield. A still stare to hold a line. In a landscape that can erase footprints by morning, the voice and the nose hold the pack's shape. Hunting starts with a question, not a charge. Wolves test herds. They watch gait and posture, listen for breath, smell for stress, and learn terrain like a craft. Most prey outruns most wolves most of the time. So the work is selection. Isolate the animal that is tired, injured, inexperienced, or simply unlucky. One wolf pressures to lengthen the stride. Another drifts wide to cut the corner. A third commits when the angle is right. When it works, the end is fast and clean. When it fails, the lesson is filed under weather, wind, and ground. Failures matter. They protect the ledger. A smart pack abandons a chase that isn't paying off, recovers with slower miles, and tries again when conditions improve. Colder snow, crust that supports wolves but not prey, a hill that favors a cutoff rather than a pursuit. Success is a pattern more than a moment. Test, select, pursue, isolate, end quickly. Then eat with rules. Mothers first when pups are small, pups fed often, helpers rewarded. Scavengers arrive, ravens, foxes, eagles, and the wolves tolerate more than they lose, because the field will be theirs again tomorrow. Spring begins in a den, hidden in roots or rock. Pups arrive blind and small, squeaking into a world of warm fur and milk. The mother stays close. The father and helpers ferry food and guard the door. As weeks pass, the den gives way to a rendezvous site, open enough to see trouble coming, close enough to water and cover. Yearlings babysit while adults hunt. Regurgitated meals become lessons in family service. You eat because someone else ran. By autumn, small legs match big miles, and the pack can travel as one. Territory is not a fence. It is a moving shape drawn by food, pups, and neighbors. Borders are sung, scented, and sometimes fought. Most encounters are posture and message more than violence. A howl says, "We are here." A scent mark says, "We were here this morning." Only when hunger is high or space tight do displays tip into brief clashes. Even then, the cost of injury is so high that wise packs keep fights short or avoid them altogether. Survival favors the pack that wastes the least. Winter pages are written in longer lines. Energy is dear. Wolves lengthen their stride and narrow their search image. Rivers freeze into highways. Valleys funnel scent. A string of cold nights hardens snow to crust that can hold a wolf but break under deer or elk, and the balance tilts toward the hunters. Still, the pack spends most of its time not chasing, but traveling, reading, and deciding. Movement solves problems. Find better sign, find easier ground, find a herd that makes a mistake. A kill does more than feed the pack. It feeds a web. Ravens shout the news. Foxes, coyotes, where tolerated, eagles, beetles, and a small nation of microorganisms all take their cut. Nutrients move from slope to stream bank to understory. Prey herds adjust their habits, resting less in risky open places, moving more often between cover and feed. Wolves do not only take lives, they change behavior, and behavior reshapes land. Not every story is clean. Wolves live beside people, and the overlap can be hard. Roads slice routes. Poisons left for other animals kill what finds them. Livestock offers an easy test for a hungry pack with little wild prey. Coexistence looks like prevention that respects both sides. Carcass removal so scavenging doesn't teach the wrong habit. Fladry and lights and human presence near vulnerable stock. Guard animals and sound husbandry. Corridors that let wild prey move, so wolves do not need to. Where conflict drops, fear quiets, and wolves go back to the old math. Burn the least, earn the most, keep the pups fed. Inside the pack, loyalty is practical. A wolf stays with what works. Young animals may disperse when they are strong enough, setting out alone or in pairs to find a gap in the map. They travel nights that feel longer than miles, cross rivers and ridges, skirt other packs' edges, and sometimes fail and turn back. When they succeed, a new territory prints itself where food and space align. A mate appears, a den follows, and another family starts the long arithmetic of seasons. Listen to a howl on a clear night, and you can almost hear the structure. A low, steady call draws a horizon. Higher voices braid in, weaving distance into unity. Each voice is individual, and yet the package is the pack. Sound travels farther than scent and faster than feet. It paints invisible lines that keep kin together and neighbors honest. In that map of air, a forest becomes a chorus of addresses. The wolf's year turns on weather and young. Spring is milk, meat, and watchfulness. Summer is growth and play. Rendezvous and short lessons on short legs. Autumn is travel, strengthening and adopting larger loops. Winter is testing, patience, and the careful spending of energy. Through it all, the constants are cooperation and movement. A wolf alone is a shadow. A pack is a force that can turn landscape into opportunity. Myths cling and clarity helps. Wolves do not kill for sport. They kill to eat, to feed pups, and sometimes to practice skills that must be sharp or they starve. They are not merciless killers of everything that moves. They are selective, often failing, always measuring the cost. They are not villains in stories where people place them. They are working predators tuned to a job that keeps game herds honest and ecosystems in motion. By the time the snow softens and spring returns, the pack has written another chapter and paid for every page. Some years end with more voices than they began. Some end with fewer. The forest carries both records without judgment. What endures is the pattern. Endure together, cooperate, return to the places that work, and abandon the places that do not. The wolf's genius is not raw power. It is thrift, memory, and trust. Stand on a ridge at dusk and look across a valley. Somewhere a line of gray shapes moves in single file, each paw falling where the one in front stepped. You might never see them, only read their passing in quiet and in the way elks stand facing downwind for a little longer than usual. You might only hear them, a single note that becomes many and then becomes at distance again. That is enough to know the story is still being told. So here's the truth of the wolf. It is endurance in motion and family in focus. It hunts with questions and answers them with angles. It leads with cooperation and learns by failure. It takes only what the miles can pay back and leaves a landscape that remembers being measured. If you carry one lesson from its life, carry this. Move with purpose, share the work, and keep your voice clear enough to find each other in the dark. When the night settles and frost picks out each blade of grass, a pack crosses a meadow and vanishes into pines. Breath hangs, then fades. Tracks print, then fill with drift. The forest keeps its counsel, but the ledger is balanced for one more day. The wolves go on, miles divided by many legs, reading the wind, trusting the pack, and returning, always returning, to the places that make life possible. Tell us what you think and which animal you want us to explore next.